welcome to Success Today with Jack Canfield. I am your host, Jack Canfield. I'm here today with Heidi Solomon Orlick, who is the founder of Girls Who Sell, which we're going to find out about, which I think is a very important organization. Also, we're going to talk about her children's book, which she's written, which I think is very cool too. So welcome to the show, Heidi.
Thank you so much, Jack. Unbeknownst to you, your life's work has played a significant part in my spiritual journey. And so I'm so honored and humbled to be here today.
Well, I'm equally honored and humbled to have you here because you had some what I think is very important work. So thank you. Mutual Admiration Society. So let's start by just getting a little background of your life and how you ended up getting to where you are doing what you're doing now.
Yeah. So by way of background, I have been very blessed to have had a successful career, 3.5-decade career actually, in the male-centric world of professional sales, where I was frequently the only woman in the ring. But it was really in 2019 when I turned 60 years old that life kind of cracked me open. Both my parents, probably going to get emotional, but both my parents passed away within 10 days of each other. Well, my mom by suicide and my dad from pancreatic cancer and a broken heart. And it was really at that time that I began to realize how fragile life is. And I started to think a lot about impact and legacy and what I could do to leave the world better than how I found it. And so out of that, my heart-centered organization, Girls Who Sell, was born as, with the mission of, closing the gender gap in professional sales and building a pipeline of diverse early-stage female sales talent. But actually, it was my true journey towards reinvention and rewirement came 2 years later when I was let go of my job and I was aged out of my career in sales. And I have to admit, I completely spun out. I had no idea who I was outside of my corporate persona. And I enrolled in your program, Reignite Your Life, which not only helped me redefine what success looks like at this stage of my life, but gave you the confidence to fulfill my lifelong dream of becoming the children's book author. So thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's talk about, I love the word, you use the word rewirement. I love that. But how do you get aged out of a sales position? I'm just curious. You said you got aged out. What were you selling?
So I was in the business process outsourcing industry. So I worked primarily with Fortune 100 companies that outsource the customer service and their tech supports and back office support. And I had the opportunity to work with some fabulous clients, travel the world, create thousands of jobs. But when I lost my job I was 63 then, I was torn, right? Like, do I lean in? I had started Girls Who Sell as a part-time side hustle. Do I lean into full-time entrepreneurship or do I go back into corporate? And I started interviewing with all these companies and basically they just said, we think you're past your prime. And even though I was the top in my industry, I could not find a job that my life depended on.
So here you are, Girls Who Sell. So it was a side hustle, you said at first. What made you decide to do that side hustle?
I think a lot of it came out of just wanting to play a small part in solving for a very big problem, which is the lack of diversity in sales. And once I started to realize and pull back the onion on the numbers, women today only represent about 35% of people in professional sales. And when you overlay any other kind of diversity statistic, the numbers just get progressively more dismal, particularly for women of color. And so that was my aha moment. And I decided that I was going to try to solve for that.
So what exactly does this organization do? How does it serve people?
Yeah. So we have an academy, Girls Who Sell Academy, and we provide training and mentorship and career readiness support. Primarily, we work with girls in high school and college-aged young women and early college graduates, and basically position sales as a viable career choice for them to achieve economic independence. And it was really a pivotal moment in my life when my father actually walked out on our family when I was 12 years old. And it wasn't actually his walking out that impacted me as much as my mom's reaction to his walking out. And she told me two things. One is never rely 100% on a man, and two, always have your own money. And even though my dad came back 3 days later and they were married for 64 years, that moment left an indelible mark on my life. So probably no surprise that I chose a career in sales where I have unlimited earning potential. I was definitely the primary breadwinner for my family, and I spent my days talking to young girls about how, that they should consider a career in sales to achieve economic independence. So yeah, we work mostly with young women from underserved and underrepresented communities, and the program to date has been 100% subsidized, but bootstrapped by me and 100% subsidized by corporate sponsorship. So we give scholarships and give them access to training and mentors and all of that.
Amazing. And so these girls that you work with in high school and college, how do you identify them? How do they find you?
I do work with a lot of nonprofits. So a lot of times the nonprofits will bring girls to the table and we'll create dedicated cohort around that particular nonprofit. But usually I'll approach a high school or a college. They may or may not have sales training programs within the school. It's actually a big gap. There's not a lot of sales and entrepreneurship training in the school, even though sales is a true life skill.
Yeah.
They identify, students and give them the opportunity to enroll in my program. And then I bring mentors to the table and pair them up with mentors. And it's a 10-week program that we put them through.
Well, it's interesting. I remember Brian Tracy, who was a sales motivator, a good friend of mine.
Right.
Said the first thing he did with his son was make him sell encyclopedias door to door. Because if you know how to sell, you can do anything.
You can do anything.
And it's such a basic, important skill. Whether you're selling your kid on going to bed or getting off screen time or someone to go on a date with you. And most of us never learn how to do that.
We don't. And so actually my vision for the company is to get even younger. So with additional funding, I would love to launch a middle school summer camp program.
Talk about this.
Yeah. So in my generation, children, especially girls, were meant to be seen and not heard. I think even as adults, I hear a lot of people talking about, gosh, I should have followed my intuition, or I should have listened to my inner voice. And in today's world, with all the diversity, equity, inclusion programs getting pulled back and defunded, I felt like it was not only my calling, but my responsibility to facilitate conversations around D&I, confidence, empowerment, bravery, and using your voice for good in the world. And so the book is actually geared towards kids, I'd say 4 to 9 years old, and it teaches them how to identify, listen to, and honor their inner voice and empowers them to use their voice for good.
So listening to the inner voice, but also speaking
But
the voice.
speaking and giving a voice to others that may not have one, may not have the same level of privilege.
You've got a lot of projects, obviously, things you want to do, things you are doing already.
Yeah.
And you're teaching them these skills, both in terms of sales and entrepreneurship. A friend of mine just told me a story. He runs I think, a dance school association. And he said to his son and his daughter, a weekend project, you're going to write me a college application or a business plan, your choice. And at the end, I'll evaluate them. And so that was their project. And the daughter handed in her college application. The son handed in a business plan. He said to his daughter, wrong answer. It's not that you shouldn't go to college, but in today's world, being an entrepreneur, especially with what's happening with the culture and AI and also
Yeah,
entrepreneurship is really very important to be able to play that game.
it is. And what I actually love, and I don't have all the numbers in front of me, but that a lot of women like myself who are getting aged out of corporate despite our expertise and what I believe we could bring to the table, not to mention our buying power, by the way. We use
Yes.
like 50
You,
trillion,
yeah.
some crazy number like that. Is they're leading into entrepreneurship and they're starting businesses at unprecedented numbers. So I think that's a positive.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So if people want to find out more about your work, but your children's book, but especially your work with Girls Who Work Center, where do they go? How do they find it?
The best way is just through LinkedIn. I'm really active on LinkedIn. Or they can go to my Girls Who Sell website, and it's GIRLZ, girls with the Z who sell.com. And for my books, I have, of course, I'm all in all social, but they can go to my author website at HeidiSolomonOrlick.com. And I'll just do a plug. My books are sold everywhere. So you can always buy my books.
Very good. Well, I love the fact you wrote this book. I think it's an important message to the world, the young kids, and I love the work you're doing with empowering girls and young women to be entrepreneurs and salespeople, and confronting this ridiculousness that we should get aged out anyway. It was part of your plan. You had to go through that to become the next step of who you are doing this important work.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think for me, once I stopped pretending and trying to be what the world wanted me to be, it opened up space for me to become who I was called to be. I really do believe that success without authenticity is its own kind of failure. And so true freedom actually comes in discovering your authentic self. And so,
And I love that word, discover. We're taking the cover off who we really are,
yeah.
allowing that to come forward and expressing our true self, which then leads to joy, leads to less pressure, less fear, all that good stuff. So
Yeah.
good. Well, you're just shooing all the right messages to the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for joining us today. Make sure you go to our website, check out her book. If you have any young children in your life, make sure they read it or you read it to them. My wife is the better grandmother right now. She's
Oh, perfect. I have 2 more on the way.
yeah, good. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for the show. We'll see you next time.